If we're all being totally honest, I bet that we have all at some point hated the grind that comes with ESO, or maybe another one of your favorite MMOs that also requires hundreds, if not thousands of hours to reach the maximum level of something. I'm looking at you, crafting research in Elder Scrolls Online. You telling me it takes me months for my character to learn about this stuff? Now, I am partially new to ESO. I played it years ago and fell away, found myself playing other MMOs as well, but when I started working with deltiasgaming.com, I knew that getting back into Elder Scrolls Online would be a major part of the job. It's the main game here on the channel, and the community still loves this game. So I restarted a new account on my Xbox Series X, which is where I play most of my games, and I jumped in headfirst to everything that the game has to offer. It was definitely overwhelming at first. ESO has so much freaking content and systems in it that it was difficult to understand at first what I was doing and what I should be prioritizing. I focused mostly on story content at first, learning the ropes of my Dragon Knight and figuring out the dozens of systems in the game. I did do some faster leveling at times throughout my character playthrough when I was off stream or not focusing on other content, but for the most part I played the game pretty normally, doing story quests and dungeons both with randoms and friends. I played a lot of Tales of Tribute because I love card games, and after about 4 weeks of pretty normal play, albeit probably more hours than the average person as this is kind of my only job right now, my character finally reached level 50 and started the champion point grind. That was 4 weeks of pretty normal play without really optimizing any of the XP grind. Then at the request of the community, I also started up a PC account. This one was completely new, so I didn't even start out with the Heroes Return bonuses or XP boosters that come from having an old account. And on the PC, I had a community member and fellow streamer, Johnny from JTK Gaming, help me get leveled up quickly to skip some of the grind I experienced on the console version. So now, I have 2 max level characters, one on each platform that I play on, and I've been jumping back and forth between the two as I play. So today we're going to talk about that grind, power leveling through it, and whether or not you should do it at all. And maybe even some tips on how to do it. If you have any tips of your own, make sure you leave them in the comments down below, hit that like button for more videos, and subscribe if you haven't done it. Let's go! First, just in case you're not familiar with what power leveling is, basically it's cranking up your experience so that you can hit max level cap or champion points as fast as possible. We're talking using things like XP scrolls or the Sigic Ambrosia drinks. We're talking group farming in spots that have non-stop enemies, maybe with other people. You're doing dungeon speed runs for those daily XP. You're doing other XP events, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly. And yes, sometimes power leveling even means getting a high level friend to vaporize the mobs for you while you just stand there and do nothing. We're just dancing in the background while our friend JTK kills everything. Ah, we got burned. In Elder Scrolls Online, it can take hundreds of hours to max out if you play casually, so power leveling cuts that down to a whole lot less. Now first, you may want to ask yourself, should I even power level at all? And here's the thing, power leveling definitely isn't for everyone. You should definitely consider it if maybe you've done the early game before and you don't want to be repeating those quests, or you're trying to get a new alternate character ready for trials, PvP, or some of the later DLC content. Maybe you've only got limited time to play and you want to make the most out of it quickly. Then power leveling, yeah, might be for you. However, I would probably not recommend power leveling if you're brand new to Elder Scrolls Online. The early quests teach you a lot of the skills and the mechanics that you're gonna need to learn, so I highly recommend not skipping those. Also, maybe you're looking at making Elder Scrolls a long-term game for you and you want to explore it at your own pace. If you sprint to the end, you will be overwhelmed with everything that's unlocked for you, and it's probably gonna make your journey a lot more confusing. Lastly, I probably wouldn't recommend power leveling if you don't like doing the same thing over and over again and grinding, even if it's just for a few hours, because trust me, it does get pretty grindy. The main grind in Elder Scrolls Online is obviously your character level, then your skills and trait lines, leveling those up so that you have more access to more things, and finally, the champion point grind that will take you a long time that continues basically into infinity. Now, like we said, this can take literally hundreds, if not thousands of hours to complete all of this stuff if you're just taking it at a normal pace. So if you want to speed some of that up, I totally get it. Again, I recommend maybe learning the game first, really understanding what you're doing, and then for your second, third, later characters, or once you think you understand the game enough on your main character, then looking into what some of these faster leveling options may be. If you're looking to level up your subclassing skills that you got at a later date, or some of the guild quest lines and other things that you need to be leveling up inside of your skill points later after you understand the game, power leveling through them is a great option, even though not all of them are able to be power leveled the same way. So let's say you're on your second or third character, or you understand the game enough and now you're ready to kind of jump to the end game and start playing with all of the toys that Elder Scrolls can give you. So how do we power level? Here's a couple of my recommendations on how to do it, some video evidence of what I did, and some explanations explanation on what works and what doesn't, and kind of the easiest options, I think, in my limited experience. The first rule of power leveling, obviously, is stacking those XP boosts. There are tons of ways in the game to get higher experience boosts, everything from the Sigic Ambrosia that can be crafted. You can even craft all the way up to like a mythic version, which gives you 150% XP gain, which is awesome. They give tons of XP scrolls from daily rewards and other options inside of the game, so make sure to check your inventory because you probably have some of these just floating around anyways. If you're an ESO Plus subscriber, that gives another 10% bonus in XP gained just the whole time you have that subscription active. And then sometimes there also are XP events like the Anniversary Jubilee and things like that. That's the time when you can really go hard in your XP boosting and taking advantage of what those events have to offer. I believe the total XP boosted cap is set to 300% regardless, so even with everything stacked in events and XP scrolls and all of your other options, I think you are limited to a certain point, but again, that bonus is huge and you should definitely take advantage of it. So you have all the stuff you need, your XP boosts are all ready to go, and now you're ready to jump into the game and find your place to grind. There are a couple that I'd recommend. I tried out basically as many as I was able to, and here are the ones that I'd recommend probably in order. First, the one that was most simple for me that I found worked pretty much the easiest was the dolmen farming, especially in the Alakir Desert. Inside the desert, there are these 3 way shrines, and by each of the way shrines is a very close dolmen. Those are those little things that drop out of the sky, spawn a bunch of enemies, and work as like a mini map event that you can knock out in just a few minutes, even if you're on your own. I jumped into dolmen farming every few days whenever I had some few minutes to just kind of sit around and grind to make my Dragon Knight level up a little bit faster without much effort. I found that literally, basically any time of the day, there was always at least a couple active groups running through the Alakir Desert doing dolmen farming. The best way to do this is to drop into this area, hop into chat, and mention that you're looking for a dolmen farming group, or even just an LFG. Most of the time will get you an invite to a group. Then you just run around, you follow everybody, hop on your mount, go from way shrine to way shrine, hopefully getting in a few hits on some of the enemies at the dolmen, or if you don't want to, you don't really have to. If you're in a group, you're still getting XP for the kills that other people are getting that are part of your group as well. This was by far the easiest XP grind that I have experienced inside of Elder Scrolls, as you really just have to run around with other people, you barely have to pay attention, and you're going to be getting pretty passive XP very easily. There's also a chest at the end of every dolmen, so you're getting a few good pieces of gear as well. This is probably the simplest and easiest XP grind that you could hop into just by going to the map, unlocking these way shrines for your first time, and then following the group around like a lost little puppy. Another XP farm that me and JTK tried was the Skyreach Catacombs in Craglorn. Now, we didn't stick with this one for very long because we found we were making better time with our next XP grind, but Skyreach Catacombs is an option. You basically have to run around a pretty small area, gather up a bunch of enemies, nuke them all really quickly, and then restart the whole thing. It's very fast. This is kind of the classic XP boosting area that people will talk about, and it is pretty quick and pretty easy, but again, you do kind of have to pay attention a little bit more with this one. Then there's the big one, the Blackrose Prison Arena. This is the one we spent the most of our time in, especially when I was leveling up on my PC account, and you're gonna hear about this in just a second, but what took me about 4 weeks of normal play on my Xbox to get a level 50 character literally took us close to 2.5 hours to get a fully level 50 character from basically the beginning all the way leveled up within the Blackrose Prison, because Johnny, again from JTK Gaming, make sure you go check out his stuff, he makes great content. Johnny was able to nuke the whole thing for me, and I didn't really have to do anything at all. We did this kind of as an experiment. He's practicing becoming an XP booster for people to make a little bit of money in the game, and I wanted to see what the options were for leveling up quickly inside of this game. You basically start the mission of the Blackrose Prison Arena, you make it to the first section where you have to fight these characters, and they go in 3 rounds. You make it to the second round, you defeat all the enemies that are in there, and then both you and the farmer, or however many people are there, all choose to die, let your character get killed, and you'll restart over on round 2. That's where you get the most enemies and the quickest XP very easily. After a couple hours of working it out with Johnny, we had our timing down pretty well. I knew the best things that I could do would be mostly to stay out of his way so that the aggro was still on him, then to work on getting myself resurrected as quickly as possible so that when he resurrected himself, the enemies were already spawning and we could get it down even faster. From round to round, at certain points, we were even sub 1 minute at times. And Johnny's mentioned over Discord since then that he thinks he can get it even faster with some other tweaks. This was actually probably the fastest power leveling I've seen in any game like this outside of just straight paying or getting an in-game item that will jump you ahead in levels. Blackrose Prison Arena definitely worked, but it was pretty hectic. We got it a little bit faster because we stayed to 2 people, because ESO does offer a group XP bonus, and it is no joke. If you're in a 4-player group, you get more XP per kill and the run goes way faster. If you're in a 2 2-person group, apparently, I'd love some clarification in the chat down below if you know, but if you're in a 2-person group, sometimes that XP bonus is even more. So if you can find someone who can carry you, you'll be turning in those skill points before you know it. Then the last one I want to talk about is public dungeons, things like the Vile Manse or Crowswood. Basically, you're just going to be running these sometimes with other people, looking for those tightly packed enemies and redoing them over and over and over again, really knocking out that XP gain. There's also a huge XP bonus that happens once every single day by running a random dungeon with just anybody. If you combine that with your daily session, you will see that level bar melting away super quickly. If you're starting out super fresh, you might not have access to this at the beginning. That's why I didn't mention it up with things like the XP potions, but eventually work on getting yourself set up with training gear as well. It boosts the XP that you gain from kills. You can craft it yourself, maybe have a buddy make it for you, or look for a crafting guild and see if you can pay someone or find a friendly person who will knock it out for you. That way you're going to be leveling your skills and your character at the same time. So we've done all this work, and what's the benefit of that? Well, you get faster access to things like trials, the veteran dungeons, and higher level PvP builds. You're going to be unlocking those champion points a little bit earlier in the game and start unlocking them for all of your characters much faster as you just play normally. Power leveling is great for being able to test builds without having to do weeks of preparation to get that character level up and unlock those things. And it will let you skip some of the early game stuff in the game if you've already done it plenty of times. But there's definitely a drawback to power leveling as well. You might hit the end game without knowing tons of the mechanics for you or your class. I found that on my Warden, which was the PC character that I made that we power level super quickly. I still do not have the best understanding of all the skills and stuff in there. So now I'm doing a whole different bit of grinding, trying to come to understand the character that I whizzed through getting fully leveled way too quickly. You'll also miss out on some skill points from doing quests and sky shards if you skip those. And ultimately, without the variety of all the things that ESO has to offer, it can kind of feel like a job if you're just getting power leveled super fast without actually enjoying it. At the end of the day, power leveling in Elder Scrolls is a lot like fast food. It's quick, it's satisfying, but it's probably not the healthiest choice. If you've been around Tamriel for a while, it's a great way to skip that tutorial life and get to the content that you love. But if you're new, I recommend taking your time. The journey is literally half the fun. If you found this helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more ESO tips, and let me know in the comments. Do you power level or do you prefer to slow quest your way through it all? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.